Good morning, everybody. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here with your weekly traversing the transits, getting the angels' advice for the things that we're walking through astrologically. I cannot settle on one way on how to describe myself every week. So hopefully you'll just experience it and it will resonate with you. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about some of the transits this week, but I'm going to focus in on Pluto's re-entry into Aquarius, where it will stay until the fall. I don't have the dates on the top of my head, where it will retrograde back into that last degree of Capricorn before it settles into Aquarius for the next 20 years. And I think this is super, super powerful for many, many reasons. And I want to kind of break it down for you as to good morning, small wildflowers, as to how I perceive this transit and what it's going to do for us. But before I start, let me do a little bit of business. These videos and when I do readings, they're based on whole sign Western astrology. So when I talk about, when I'm doing the readings, I'm talking about Aquarius rising, I'm talking about Capricorn rising. So if you don't know your rising sign, you might want to go to one of the free birth calculators, plug in your time of birth, and you can determine that information. The on a par with your rising sign, I think, is the moon. You know, we are emotional creatures. We manifest on our emotional body. And I think that looking at the moon and the sun, the moon and the rising together gives you a good picture of how things are going to, the landscape you're going to be walking through. And then lastly, I think the sun, which is our ego drive and our assertion out and kind of out into the world and how we're perceived. Good morning, Catherine. Good morning, Margie. Good morning, Jules. Welcome to the room. Okay. Oh, and when no, that's fine. Okay. My brain is in a constant state of 15 different places. And I'll tell you why, because my opportunity to exercise my light bearer, the night inside of me, is in full force at all times for the last 4 or 5 months. So I'm going to kind of start off with a little bit of a story. Hi, Taylor. Good to see you. Welcome. Oh, so you have a, okay, small wildflowers. Thank you for letting me know. I have clients this afternoon, so anyone who wants to help with the timestamps in the comments after the live would be great. That's always helpful. Okay, so this week, today, as a matter of fact, Pluto moves back into Aquarius. And I wanted to talk about a little bit about how I perceive this, because Pluto, while it rules death, physical death and rebirth, it rules other people's money, it rules sex, it rules psychology, it rules, and I mean that psychological imprint that you don't even know you're carrying around you in fear, or the imprint of seeking other people's approval before we'll give ourselves permission to be who and what we want to be. Now, this planet that's so teeny weeny, way out there, you know, in the solar system, in the dark, furthest from the sun, and yet it has this huge heart, right? And that heart is tumultuous. It's this churning underneath that creates this landscape. It's kind of a tealy white color. And as Pluto moves into Aquarius, the sign of the collective consciousness, of independence, of liberation from oppression, to express our genius. Aquarius is of the air signs. We're kind of going, you know, we have the Gemini air sign that focuses kind of on the daily activities, speaking, writing, teaching, communicating with others. We go into the air sign of Libra, where we're looking at peace and civility and fairness and how we communicate in partnerships. And then we go all the way around the wheel to Aquarius, where we're applying innovation. Old structures by nature break down in Aquarius. It also rules our hopes and our dreams. It's what they call an upachaya house, which develops over time. And this is where I think people, you know, I really want to start calling myself a revolutionary astrologist, because Saturn, you know, we talk about Saturn being a repressor, a limiter, a depressor, a dry up of things. how it requires such tenacity and endurance. And as I perceive it, I believe Saturn is saying, yes, all those things come into play when you don't believe in yourself, when you don't believe in what you're creating, when you're creating on a false platform that is really not aligned to your deeper soul's truth and happiness. And so Saturn will feel all those things. So when they say Saturn rewards over time, it's when will you as the human claim your space and claim what you're building. And in doing that, you will feel the reward of Saturn, that focus. This is the other thing we're going to learn. As we go through the next 20 years, I really believe that we're going to start to look at each other as vibrational beings. And I have noticed over the last couple of years that people who are in constant lack and scarcity will start weird conversations. Like I've had a couple of people recently say something to the effect of, oh, I'd love to get an astrology chart for you, and you don't have to give it to me. And I'm like, what makes you think I'm going to give it to you? And these are people that struggle with money, that have other people who have supported them, and that's nice. But if we look at things as a vibration, as our focused thought, and people who are in lack focus on the lack, it's hard for them to feel the expansion and the abundance. And that's the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction coming up. But let me continue, because as Pluto moves into Aquarius, we will all feel the deep psychology of our own thoughts. Aquarius rules genius. It rules, science. It rules things that we really don't even know. We're out there exploring, it's Star Trek. And as we start to, as a humanity, as a collective consciousness, connect to the idea that our thoughts start to bring the components, the elements, the things we want, or disrupt us in many ways. And then we start to look deeper into the layers of co-creation and how you can't feel like a hero if there's never a villain in your life. And you can't get out of being a villain unless you are aware that your ego is driving you somewhere. So I really want to offer this look at Pluto's move into Aquarius and the idea that the sun was conjunct and still is this point of leadership, of the furthest 2 points, the sun and Pluto coming together, the dark and the light coming together to innovate, to renovate, to illuminate something within ourselves, and then to give us choice. Because as Pluto moves into the fixed signs, there's somewhere this is going to, it affects all of us, but the fixed signs, I know, because I just went through this whole thing as a Libra sun and an Aries rising. I just went through this whole thing as it was in Capricorn through the cardinal signs. So if you're feeling the square of Pluto and whatever planets are in your fixed signs, this conversation that's starting with the sun is, how will you take leadership? How will you shine light on the darkness so that you make sense of it or garnish wisdom? The release of it is counterintuitive to the human experience, because as emotional creatures, our memories are emotional. Everything about us, if we break it down, is emotional. So as Pluto moves, the most emotional planet, the planet that gets so mad it will kill somebody out of love. It's a little crazy. God bless Scorpio. So here now there's this opportunity to be a hero. Again, I repeat myself. So I want to offer that because as we move into this first half of the year, and we're getting closer and closer to that conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus, I really believe this could be a potential of liberating yourself from your family history, from lack, from feeling, doubting your skills, doubting your path, doubting your desires. Your desires, those things, someday I want to, in a perfect world, the bucket list, all of those things are the things that should be a now priority. And as you start to collect into the now and the joy of them, and they start to become the magnets, then we really represent the new idea of what being human can be. Pluto takes 248 years to go around the Zodiac. And I was thinking about, the last time this happened in the United States, revolution, blah, blah, blah. And yet at the same time, the people who were revolutionizing one sanction of humans, there was a whole other sanction of humans that were being left in a compromised and oppressed position. And now, as we come into these points again with this awareness, with technology, with the ability to connect on such a larger scale, we can come together and use our focus to change the way that we interact, the way that we thrive, the way that we see lack or poverty. So, Abraham says, when one is connected to source, they are more powerful than millions who are not. And those millions may even have millions of dollars. So as you are connected to your source and you are willing to go into the dark side of Pluto and say, where do my fears clip me? Where do they anchor me? And how now at this time, because the landscape, wherever Aquarius is in your chart, let's say you're Aquarius rising, then this is all going to be about individualizing yourself. Second house, voice, family history, skills. Third house, communities, communications, teaching, writing, speaking, short bits of, we're going to go around the Zodiac, and so there's going to be layers of this, right? So there's first the layer of the house, the layer of the sign. That's the landscape, the environment. Do you need an umbrella and galoshes, or do you need a bathing suit? And Pluto will reward you, and will Saturn. Because as Saturn goes through Pisces, there is such an anchoring of your connection to spirit. And that's why it feels so hard at first, because you're dipping into the unknown. Okay. So while all these things are happening in the stars, they may not be making technical, this is doing this right now, but it is a whole party. That's what I want to say. All right. So this week, I think that's really, Pluto's re-entry into Aquarius is huge. Venus will enter Capricorn on the 23rd. She'll begin a trine with Jupiter. And I think this is important. And this is where Venus gets a little practical. Okay. So she's not the sexiest in Capricorn. But she is a builder, and she has skills, and she has a voice, and she's ready to use it. She's kind of, in this particular case, I kind of picture her like somebody like a female that has her own home building show. It's like she's going to take action here. And as the trine becomes exact at 6 degrees of Taurus and Capricorn on the 28th, that's next week, but we're going to be feeling this. I think we're going to be looking at our beliefs. I think this is, again, the conversation that started with the Sun and Pluto as it was, conversing in the last degrees of Capricorn, and then those first few days of Aquarius season. So how do I want to stoke my hopes and dreams? How do I want to move my story forward? We are having a full moon in Leo. I'm going to do a separate video on that. Oh, I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, all the February videos are out. So check those out. I've done some pretty, what I think is pretty detailed monthlies, and I'm trying to stay ahead of the game this year instead of what I did last year, which was very inconsistent. Okay. So let's go on to our readings. I think that's it. Did anyone have a question they wanted to ask me about Pluto moving into Aquarius? Did anybody have any thoughts or any ideas about how that might look for you? Because I really feel like this is going to be something exciting. It goes into my 11th house. And it's starting a sextile with my Jupiter in Sagittarius, which I'm excited about. It's also starting a sextile with my South Node. And my South Node is in Aries at 3 degrees in the 12th house of Placidus. And that's significant because most of my first house in whole sign is actually in the 12th house in Placidus. And that's a big shift from the self to not feeling seen. So as I walk through my own little, I've talked about it. There's things going on in the background. I feel like Pluto is supporting me now because I have processed a lot of my own deeper reactions. And now I feel very strong in intentional action or no action. So that's how that's going to look. All right. Good morning, Gita. Good morning, Scarred Owl. We haven't seen you in forever. It's good to see you. CC Pop, same thing. So good to see you. Hi, Katerina. Welcome. Anybody else I missed? Welcome, welcome. All right, we're going to start our readings. Lucky's under the desk sleeping. Okay. We start with Aquarius. It's your birthday month. Happy birthday. And just, even though I know he won't ever watch this video because he doesn't watch my videos, but my longtime friend Paul's going to be turning 60 years old this week. So I'm sending over some stuff back east. So he'll have a nice birthday week, I hope, and celebration. So let's start with Aquarius, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Your tarot card is the Five of Pentacles. Now, this is an interesting energy. You can see it looks a little rough on the face of the card. And that might be what Pluto, a lot of astrologers focus in on the challenging sides of the planets. Very rarely do we really dig in deep on the transformed side of the planets. And especially sometimes I think when people go to, look back to the ancients and don't think that the planets and the whole dang solar system isn't evolving all at once, because this Five of Pentacles is where you can't really see the solution. We see this what looks like a church, and these people are in such a impoverished and such a compromised way that they can't see the solution here. The solution is to go within, to connect with your inner being, which is holding space for you outside of this physical apparatus. And I think on some level, I've told you guys so many times, I've had Pluto conjunct every single one of my planets as I've aged, as I've been on this planet. And I'm really glad I didn't know it at the time. But now I understand that it was giving me an opportunity to transform myself. To every time I went through a dark night of the soul, and I went through many of them, I felt like I was rising up in a way that allowed me more strength from the inside out. And that's what I think this card is representing for our Aquariuses. Those of you that first house Aquarius, it's a revision of who and what you want in your life. It's an opportunity to take the genius idea of air, and thoughts are things, and that kind of genius, while it can take you, into a lane. I think of Albert Einstein and the focus. I think now that focus directed at that which you want to experience, and then calling forth that your inner being experiences here in the physical that support that. And you'll start to see Pluto bring in so much bounty and so much benefit that others, don't focus on. They only look at the death. Okay, first angel for our Aquariuses is Isabella. Yes, the timing is right for this new venture. We have Caressa ending a cycle of some kind, and new happiness awaits you. We have peace in the form of Shanti, and then we have Teresa, which is about worry. Now, oftentimes Aquarius is associated with anxiety. It rules the nervous system and large systems like, the skin, the large functioning, the internet rules the internet. So as Pluto is going to task you with I want to be very clear when I talk about looking at the deeper part of who and what you are. I'm not talking about going and chewing on your childhood, okay, and the done me wrong stories. I'm talking about the fears of not being good enough, not being talented enough, not being smart enough. I mean, anytime somebody steps out of the box, the herd animals want to push you back in, okay? And they'll start to mock you. They'll mock your character. They'll mock your thoughts. They'll do all sorts of things so that you can stay in small. And they won't even know they're doing it because they're small. So this is why you may feel rejection. Ultimately, when a tarot card reader sees this, the first thing they say is rejection. Something you're feeling rejected. Well, now Isabella is saying the timing is right for this new venture. A happy outcome follows your positive expectation. And the Raven is all about magic of timing. Pluto can completely rework your whole, think about this for a second, Aquarius. Here's Pluto in your first house, Pisces is your second house. Pisces is music, song, dance, creativity, your connection to spirit. It's also money. We interlap the Taurus energy on that. Ooh, I just got chills everywhere. And when you're brave enough and be like, okay, I'm just going to, like, if I connect with spirit and say, if I'm really, really lined up to do this in this lifetime, you're going to start to put things in place that give me the feeling of trust. Now we have Caressa saying you're at the end of a life cycle, new happiness is awaiting you. And then the B is good luck, abundance, and victory. And I got to say this, well, I should say this, it's sweet victory. And that victory comes from allowing one chapter that is really kind of, I want to offer it this way. It served you, but at this point, it might be anchoring you, because now the angels are offering you joy and peace of mind and tranquility ahead. The joy card is a 37. And this is a 10. I forgot to mention that. We're starting to look at master number 1. What do the ones mean? They're my thoughts. Look at your thoughts. Your thoughts are manifesting. Where is your focus? Because now you're getting this unstable new beginning where you're practicing your skills. You're being able to start a new adventure. And this is a card of worrying about other people. And I think it's time to stop worrying about other people's opinions. I've said this repeatedly, and I probably will for who knows how long. But moving forward, these platforms, our abundance, our monetary and physical resources are going to be best supported by our authenticity, by our own putting ourselves somewhere in the lane that we feel the most purposeful and fulfilled. And as we do that, the feelings of rejection will cease. This is not what's destined for you. This is an opportunity for you to recognize where you may be fear rejection. I used to say to myself, oh, I'm so afraid what people are going to call me an old lady. People are going to say you're not pretty and blah, blah, blah. And, I had those fears when I was young, when I was old, and then I started to think, well, damn, if nobody bitches about me or nobody gives me a thumbs down, I'm not even in the game. I'm just in a comfy place where everybody's, ooh, kumbaya. No, when you're really in the game, there's all sorts of different energies involved, and some like you and some don't. So Aquarius, that's awesome for you. All right, let's go on to our Pisces, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Your tarot card. Oh, it's your card. This is the cup of love. You can see the little fish coming out. It's a youthful energy. It's emotive energy. It is, his posture is quite, what I would say, open and giving and hopeful, maybe even a bit naive, in its endeavors. I also like the way that his hat is because his brain thinks emotionally. I almost think that little whatever that's closest to the fish on his hat looks like a fish's tail. So I feel like he's very much offering all things that bring joy, love, fun, renewal. Let's see, Pisces. Okay, so let's also just do a little ditty about Saturn going through your first house, because now we know that Pluto's moving into your 12th house, and Pluto's going to illuminate, because the 12th house is your natural home. It's going to illuminate, are you willing to look at your intermingled energies and relationships? Do you feel seen or unseen? And as we feel Saturn moving through your first house, Saturn is saying, if you want the love, the compassion, the connection, those things that you dream of, then it starts with you. And that's putting roots down and looking at sustainability and how people actually show up. And are you betting on potential, or are you betting on what you see? Because I think this is about turning the light onto Pisces itself and using Saturn's connection, that building, that architectural dynamic, that agricultural dynamic of building a connection with that natural part of you that can connect to spirit through your emotional body, and then start to allow that to be the primary connection for your building of what you want for your future. Aries is your second house. This is kind of this interesting feeling of individuality, of asserting yourself for yourself to make money. Let's look and see. Whoa. Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Astera, reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. Caressa, you're at the end of a life cycle. Sonia, your guides are there for working with you, of course. And then Bethany, about self-care. Pisces, that's, Pisces and Cancer. Well, everybody has opportunities, to love others. These two signs really put other people first. And I know that in many ways they do that because they're demonstrating how they want to be loved. But here it's got to be you first and them second, and not in a mean way, just in a way that is more effective, I guess, because that is Astera saying to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. What do, Pisces? You dream, and in no short order, we're going to have Venus, entering her domicile. So preparation. I really believe that looking at the months ahead and looking at how the transits are going to be, because we're going to have a cluster of planets going through Aries, Taurus, and Gemini in this period of time, and that cluster is really going to be birth something new as a result of what we've garnished now through our epiphanies, through our intentions, through our focus. Okay, Astera is being joined by the spider. We have Caressa being joined by the water fairy. We have Sonia being joined by the wasp. And then we have Bethany being joined by the high priestess. I want to say this because having Saturn moving through your first house is not easy. And those that are early born Pisces, have been feeling it back and forth. You're going through the third time as it's, third time is a charm, okay? It's where you can garnish the wisdom. Because I want to say this, I do think this is about your own creativity, your own birthing of something individual for yourself. Saturn's asking you to really put the time and the effort, not in physically, but emotionally, and believing with yourself, continuing to allow yourself to evolve and to grow and to see yourself as something new that is in a state of emotional awareness and evolution and growth, because Caressa says new happiness is awaiting you. And here's that water fairy. And this is also about emotions. It's also a 10. So there's a focus. Somewhere spirit is saying your frustration and your anger, or, sometimes when Pisces loves someone else or loves something else more than they love themselves, it can boomerang back in an icky way. And Saturn could be blamed for that. It could feel restrictive. You could blame Saturn, or you could just say that Saturn was illuminating something that was already there, because the high priestess is, again, an inner knowing, very Piscean, very, connecting to the inner emotions, the heart, and there's Bethany's self-care. So I think that Pluto's re-entry into your 12th house, Saturn's traversing your first house, these are long transits that, they don't go away. All the other planets sort of contribute to this as the baseline, connecting in a way that's innovative and renovating the old structures that have held you down and held you in a place that's allowing something else to shine brighter than you. Okay, let's go on to our Aries, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. All right. Oh, Aries, this is fun. The 9 of Swords, okay? This is a card of worry. It's a card of, the focus is so much on some sort of, there's battle here. This is an unconscious battle. There's 3 sort of characters. One is feeling victimized. One appears to be stabbing. And yet the 9 swords here are all aligned. There's no disarray. It looks as if they're securely attached to this wall. And I think for Aries, who loves to take action, Mars is right now in Capricorn, where it is exalted. I believe that it is transiting along with, let me look at my notes real quick. Hold on. Because I think Mercury's hanging out with it. So you could feel like a little bit of war. I've had that. I can tell you that. Yes, they're still traveling together. Mercury entered Capricorn on the 13th, so it's moving towards and probably pretty close right now to Mars. So I want to offer this because Aries, you have a lot of planets in your first house, meaning points. This North Node is there, Chiron is there. Eris has been there since like 1940 something or 20 something, I don't know, forever. And this is stoking a lot of energy where your old habits, you're kind of having to release something. That's why it's worry, because it's not in your hands. And your power, that yellow pillow is your power in being aware of your mind and sort of just, doing your best to, well, let's see. Let's go this way. Let's look what the angels are saying, because it's just a worry. It's straight up a worry card. And it's a kind of worry that keeps you up at night, keeps you struggling back and forth, feeling powerful, feeling powerless. The bedding, the comforter is so it's got pomegranates all over it. It's blue, and then the pomegranates. So there's very good chance that this character is actually winning his battle. He just doesn't know it because it's in some sort of process, and that process is making him worry. I've been telling people that, some of my friends that I'm in this constant state of adrenaline because of the battle that I'm in, and yet I'm exhausted at the same time. And I'm not sleeping well, but I'm not sleeping. It's like I'm running scenarios as well in my head. Okay, Aries, mystique, keep charging ahead. Expect miraculous solutions. Azure, your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Don't force it. Isaiah, it's time to give ideas, new ideas, birth new ideas, protection. And Caressa, you're at the end of a life cycle. Okay. Mystique is an interesting energy because it's such a powerful image for me of this. I mean, this unicorn is in full gallop, as if I'm not taking any prisoners here. And yet it's sort of that coming out of the dark and into the light. And I think that that's really powerful because the warrior that can hone their inner knowing becomes a very powerful, peaceful warrior, holding space for that divine disruption and knowing how to take action in a way that supports not only their own version of themselves, but a bigger version of what is possible. So Mystique is saying to keep charging ahead. And then we have the letting go card, which is the letting go of fear. Keep charging ahead and letting go of fear. Azure is saying your desired outcome is happening. The eagle is here. This is integrity. Okay, this is great. This is in Spirit's hands. It goes right with this 9. In the angel's advice, Isaiah is being joined by the cow, which is all about abundance, asking and receiving. And then Caressa is being joined by the deer. And the deer is interesting because the deer is a number 22. And it refers to gentleness and diplomacy. And Caressa saying you're at the end of a life cycle. This makes me feel as if my Mars ruled people, I love you so much, because I'm one. I totally think you're learning how to be a hero now. I think that you're experiencing divine disruptions that are honing your skills, allowing you to know how, even though it's not easy, okay, you're still in a process of, and I don't know if it's ever easy when we feel somehow vulnerable to something, but here I really believe that you are transforming yourself. Chiron is giving you an opportunity to extract the wisdom, to become, again, the hero versus the banshee. I think that letting go card is a 44, okay? The 44 is, to me, the master number of the builder. And now I'm building not just on action, but on faith as well. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. Now, Azure's saying don't force anything because things are in Spirit's hands. and you will absolutely receive what you are looking for, and you are being protected in the process. The protection is not just physical protection, but emotional protection, because you're learning the power of quiet, of gentleness of mind, diplomacy of mind, of your own mind, not with those other people that you could potentially be having disruptions with or interactions with. And Pluto's going to teach you something, and I hate to use that word, but it is, because when I think about it, here we go, Aries rising, 11th house is your hopes and your dreams. It is also how people perceive you in the world. And, there's that always the same Mars the warrior. And then who do you want to have your back when you're in trouble? You want somebody Mars ruled. And Pluto and Mars are actually very cooperative. So this Pluto moving into the 11th house is going to give a square to your natural 8th house, and in some ways really require you to let go of your reactionary fear-based actions and be a stealth bomber. That's what I think mystique is. No one sees you coming. Okay. On to our Tauruses, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. I cannot emphasize enough the power, that long-reaching tentacles that I believe that this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is setting up for you. And, while I don't expect one big kaboom in a day, I do expect there to be sort of I think of it as fireworks, in my mind, boom, 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 of all these ideas and epiphanies, and in some ways integrations of old stories that have just tethered me to something that like may feel safe, but it's too restrictive now. It's like a coat that kind of looks good when you look in the mirror, but you can't reach for anything with it because the arms are too tight. All right, Taurus, here we go. The Page of Wands, inspired ideas. This is, again, this new, fresh energy, passion. I always look at this cap on his head with that little feather, and I think, oh my gosh, he's got so many ideas. There's those fireworks going off here. I also feel as if on some level, when I look at this character for Taurus is willing to travel light. Doesn't have any baggage. You can see he's pretty much in the middle of nowhere except his passion. And I think that that's powerful, because as you allow yourself this sort of privilege of, what does Jupiter have to offer me in the way of expanding my ability to make money using my skills? And then we take Uranus as, that kind of going out into territory you've never been before. It could be the internet, but it could also be something innovative that you haven't thought before. Like you could be somebody who's like, I want to work with drones now. And you end up doing some, job that's really cool, and you get to travel or you get to do other things. Technology is going to open up a lot of opportunities for people that weren't there before in the way of making money. All right. And Pluto is going to help with that as it's in Aquarius. All right, Taurus, let's see what kind of passions and inspirations are coming your way. Again, we've got Venus starting to make a trine. She enters Capricorn, and as she does that, I really think this is about money making and about using my skills. When she's up in Capricorn, she's not thinking about, her shoes and her dress. She's thinking about building money and security and letting the world see how she can take care of herself. Just call me C. Hey, girl. Welcome in. Flamingo. Welcome. CW. Welcome. All right, here we go. Taurus, our first angel is Oceana. The second is Celeste. Ooh. The third is Isabella. And the final is Omega. Oceana is always about trusting that inner knowing, just sort of swimming up through your emotional body and sort of being, I almost feel like sometimes, when you go underwater, how you put on those goggles, I almost feel like sometimes that's helpful because you can't really see too far ahead to scare yourself. And this is what I think might be going on, because Taurus, you like to build, you like to take your time, you want to see it in the earth, and you have your history and a little trepidation. They call it the house of security, but it's also the house of insecurity. So Oceana is about trusting your gut, trusting that these inspirations, whatever's going on inside of you that's thinking about, oh, I could do this, or I would like to move in this direction. Because right now I'm thinking that Celeste could be a new home or a new place of employment, literally. But let's see. Oceana is being joined by the horse. Ooh, Celeste is being joined by the love card. Isabella is being joined by the communications card. And then Merlin is being joined by Omega. This is really very exciting, because I want to offer this, these energies. Well, I got to tell you, I've been off the charts busy. I have my moon in Taurus. It's at 9 degrees. And as Jupiter was retrograding back to 5 degrees and then hovering, and now it's starting to move forward, I've been crazy, crazy busy, and with people all over the world, Jupiter, because this horse thing to me is very Sagittarian. It's it's accepting help from another and delegating authority. And to me, Sagittarius represents the connection to the angelic realm. This page is also fiery Sagittarian energy. Any one of the fire signs, new inspired ideas are coming in. We see here. And this is about trusting the connections that are coming up through your emotional body, because Taurus, Celeste talks about a new home or a new place of employment. And then there's the love card. And oftentimes I think about it as a shift in where I'm going, but I actually think something's coming into the material world that's going to open up an opportunity for that Jupiterian expansion. And here Isabella is saying, yes, the timing is right. And then there's the communications card. So to me, the communications card not only represents my talking, it represents the Gemini energy, everything I'm doing, speaking, where I'm going every single day. Because now we see this white unicorn rearing in happiness and victory. And there's Merlin, justice, alchemy, and balance. I feel as if there's going to be inspired ideas, communications, and things coming up. And it may be on some level things that I kind of want to say this for Taurus, because it could be things that kind of, when Pluto first entered Aquarius, it could have been, you could have felt inklings of some sort of new thing happening, and yet it didn't materialize. And now there may be a revisit of that of some kind. I also think that if some of you are looking to either individualize and take your talents in some way on a platform to create more abundance, that's a very, very good idea to start building, clearly, as Jupiter is going to, make that conjunction, and then go on into Gemini, so there's a lot of stuff there for you. It's just a matter of being a little bit brave and pacing yourself. That's a great way to put it. All right, let's go on to our Geminis, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. It's so nice to see so many OGs in the room. And I don't know, I might sound a little repetitive, because I'm supposed to repeat. Spirit keeps telling me I don't tell people enough, like videos are out and things like that. So February's out. I posted them yesterday. Check those out. Each rising sign has a whole month worth of stuff to look at. And these months are so powerful for, I don't want to scare you, but you could have a magical experience that you don't even realize you could have through some other outside disruption. All right. Gemini, the world, the wheel of fortune, the world. I love this. I shouldn't say the world, because the world is actually a card. The wheel of fortune makes me feel as if all the elements are here, all the representations of the 4 elements. We've got the air, we've got the water, we've got the earth, and then we've got fire. And here, when you're at the top of the wheel, is when you have, in many ways, have a mastery or awareness of your thoughts. We see this sword. I'm not very good at pointing backwards. Let me try it this way. No, Okay, and I want to offer it this way because the sword is a sword of thought. Now I've got this Sphinx sitting at the top of this wheel, and we see the garb, the hat, has the contrasting black and white. That's what I believe the Wheel of Fortune offers us. It's a 10. It is an opportunity to be aware of our thoughts and how our thoughts ebb and flow, and they dictate where we sit on the wheel. And as we've mastered our thoughts, we also, in many ways, start to realize that a disruption allows us to hone our skills, to be a more powerful co-creator. That will be the theme of Aquarius Pluto in Aquarius as we move forward. We are co-creators, not only with the universe, but also with the collective consciousness. And our awareness of that is going to give us a leg up in what we experience. And that's why I think that charities may go a little bit by the wayside, because we're going to see again how that is a collective consciousness within itself. And as somebody strives up and out of an issue or out of a challenge, they are empowered by it. Okay, Gemini. The Wheel of Fortune is being joined by Opal. God is watching over you and your children. Isabella is saying, yes, the timing is right for this new venture. Happiness follows your positive expectations. Indriel, the light worker, is in the angel's advice, and Teresa is in the final position. Opal's being joined by the love card. Isabella's being joined by the raven. Indriel's being joined by the burden card. Teresa's being joined by the risk card. Okay. You know, as I look at this for my Geminis, I'm really thinking to myself that the Wheel of Fortune sometimes I hate human words, but it's teaching you, it's giving you, this is a major arcana card. It's a 1, it's a 10. So here, this Opal and the love card makes me feel like, of course, God loves you, but I also feel like this is saying God is saying, what do you love, Gemini? What do you want? What is your deeper truth? What will Pluto illuminate in your house of Aquarius? If I remember correctly, Aquarius is your 9th house. That just seems to pop off on the top of my head. So there's an innovation and a renovation in your belief system and how you want to, really create and broaden and do Jupiterian things, but in an innovative way, because Isabella is saying, yes, the timing is right. And then we have this timing card of the raven. And I feel that's very powerful because it's a 10. So here we go back to the 10 here, which is giving me an opportunity to be aware of my thoughts and to start to tell the story of thriving versus the story of surviving. Or, if indeed, this is about love or anything that you want to experience, starting to tell the story of that versus where you've been, because it's been hard for Gemini potentially to see the light. Saturn up in your 10th house is the Saturn, the 10th house is the most public house. It's the house where everybody sees you. And it's often referred to as a career house, but it's also a house where you change status. So you can go from married or from single to married. You can go from married to divorced. You can go from not being a parent to being a parent, et cetera, et cetera. There's a million different things, because this card here, this Opal and the love card, make me feel as if Teresa and the risk card are asking you not to worry, but to risk a bigger picture. And that bigger picture right now would be Jupiter's going to move into my 1st house. So while Jupiter's illuminating where I feel invisible, where I feel tethered to an old story, how's that? I think Uranus offers liberation. And then in, the end of May, June, we're going to start to see Jupiter move into your 1st house. So Gemini, I think this is really powerful to recognize if worry is really serving you or if it's a form of prayer that's tethering you to an old story. It's not easy to be, ruled by Mercury, because there's so much information that sometimes, you can only take it in small bits. And I think that's where your connection to spirit may help you digest that more easily. I hope that made sense. All right, let's go on to our Cancer, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. All righty. Cancer. Your tarot card is the Empress. This is the ultimate Venus energy. It's very relaxed. It's very comforting. You know, she sits back on these kind of red orangey pillows, and she has no worries because as she holds her scepter up to her crown of stars, she understands her connection to spirit. It illuminates her. That's why we see this yellow. It makes her understand her strength, and she receives. She's a receiving energy. And as she does, all the wheat that she needs for her, gosh, why am I so bad with this lately? Everything she needs is provided for her. So it's a very, very relaxed energy. Now, I want to offer this because Cancer has experienced Pluto's opposition for quite some time. It's over. And I don't know what the rest of your chart looks like, but for at least to your rising sign. So it would have really brought you with some awareness in your partnerships and how those roll for you. So let's see what Spirit has to say, because this may be a time to be aware of how much you are able to receive, how much you're able to trust your intuitive knowing that all is well. Pluto's moving into your 8th house, which is naturally a deep psychological house. And this is like applying the genius mind to the psychology of my own imprint. And in doing so, I'm become very powerful. All right. Our first angel is Azure. Your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Don't force it. Isabella says, yes, the timing is right. Athena says it's the time to lovingly assert yourself. And then Desiree is looking for emotional alignment. She'll talk about conditions aren't favorable, but this means, are you relaxed? Let's look and see. Whoa. You know, I got to say, now all of a sudden I feel like I need to keep this. This literally, Crystal was in this deck. She fell out on top of Azure. So I'm going to take her as the second card, because Crystal says, have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. The Empress is relaxed, knowing that her strength lies with her crown of stars and her connection, knowing that, you know, she's not a goat. She's not pushing constantly to try to build something. She knows it's ebb and a flow, a give and a take. And this is something that Cancer gets to connect to this week. Isabella is being joined by the Spider. Athena is being joined by the Truth card. And Desiree is being joined by the Movement card. All right, for my Cancer, something is absolutely shifting. Something's moving in the direction you want it to move, but your greatest power right now is to distract yourself with something else and trust that whatever's going on, you know, the universe is working for you, and you just stay aligned, because again, as you're saying that your desired outcome will happen in the near future, and Crystal is saying have patience and faith. This is practicing your intuitive knowing, practicing your inner trust, practicing your inner value. Here's Isabella saying, yes, the timing is right. Whatever you want is going to happen. It's going to get into the web, and it's not going to come out. Here is Athena saying, it's time to lovingly assert yourself to that deeper truth, to the truth that says, I don't need to see it to know it. You know, in the universe, you know, responds to, when I believe it, I will see it. And humans will say, I will believe it when I see it. So here, something's going on. Desiree is saying, you're not supposed to move. Movement's happening outside of yourself. Movement's happening with, like, the Empress, the receiving. She's a 3. It's like the Trinity. So here you sit back and you relax and you stay focused on either distracting yourself from worry or on how excited you are about whatever's about to manifest. And if for some reason it's a baby or a kid or a relationship or a money or a skill, anything Venusian, then getting excited about that. Do a vision board. You can always do something to put yourself in a creative energy that aligns to what you want. All right, Leo, here we go. Oh, I love this card. This is the 6 of Cups. This is a card of childhood, of love, of offering innocence and fulfillment. This is the only cup card that has all the urns are full. And you see in the background the adult walking away. And I always think that there's a part of that where the grown-up gets to just take a back seat to what can be. You know, children dream, children are superheroes, children believe in fairy tales and love ever after. So let's see what's going on for our Leos, since you rule love. And you're going to start experiencing an opposition from Pluto. That sounds like fun, small wildflowers. I would just like to get Christmas down. I managed to hide Christmas all on the other side of the camera because I just can't seem to get anything completed. I don't know when I ever had time to have a job. All right, Leo. Let's see where innocence and love is coming. Patience is our first angel. The second is Athena. The third is Azure. And the final is Fiona. I talk often about how, you know, we're getting to certain chapters of our life where structure would put us out to pasture or tell us things aren't open for us. And I believe just the opposite. So Leo, when I look at this Six of Cups, and it's just such fun childhood, it's love, it's innocence, it's possibilities, it's the world is open to these two. And the patience part is about studying yourself and your own emotional body. And we have the Stag, because I want to offer this. God bless my Leos. You are a fixed sign as well. So Pluto is going to square you in your Aquarian energy. But I want to offer it this way. Sometimes Leo can be like, but this happened to me, but this happened to me. And I don't want to discount that things happen to you. Maybe something happened in your childhood. And yet at the same time, you know, at some point, the integration of that experience can uplift and bring you into a place that's much more powerful, because patience is asking you to observe your own energy. And are you standing in stubborn pride, or are you standing in leadership for yourself and what you want? And not trying, because, you know, some things happen and they just happen and you can't do anything about them. You know, like your childhood is your childhood is your childhood. You can't do anything about it at some point. And no matter how you try to, you know, get other people to acknowledge their participation in your story, most people will rustle up against that. Because Athena is asking Leo to assert yourself lovingly into your own focus. Where am I focusing? Because in the angel's advice, your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Don't try to force anything. And here's creativity, positivity, excitement. And Fiona says, now that you ask God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. Something's in the hands of spirit. And here's the Novice. New skills without practice, a new beginning. I want to offer it this way, because the new beginning feels a lot like, if we think about, for my Leo risings, Aquarius is your 7th house. And again, people go straight to marriage, blah, 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 blah. The 7th house is the house of peace and harmony and of cooperation and civility. And if you don't have a peaceful mind and a peaceful heart, how do you have a peaceful relationship with anybody? So here, this feels as if, Leo, you're being tasked to look a little bit about, you know, are you kind of standing in your story a little bit? And is that story working for you? Because now that you started to tell a new story, Spirit's going to start to put those pieces into place, and you're being able to be a little bit like an innocent child and wait to receive a little bit instead of, you know, chiming in to the old thing. Your focus, asserting yourself. This is God and the angels bringing something that starts to support a new beginning. And I've always kind of thought that the more I could make sense of my childhood, how did it empower me? What did I learn from it? And I mean learn in the way about myself, how powerful, how resilient I am, how intentional I am, how, you know, how what other people villainized me for was the thing that kept me alive on this planet. All right, let's go on to our Virgos, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. The World card. This is lovely. I recently had a client who has a stellium in Pisces, Virgo rising woman. Stellium and Pisces a partnership. Pisces is film and fantasy, photography, and as Saturn goes through that house, the average astrologer will say, oh, your relationships are going to dry up. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, looking at her chart, she's going to build relationships that are going to put her on TV. Okay, doing what she loves and what she, next thing I know, she's applying for some home show with her husband. Because I want to offer this. Virgo, this world card is a reward card. It is Saturnian by nature. It is the last card that the hero meets on the journey, the fool meets. It's where we've seen, we actually see the Taurus, the bull of the earth. We see the fire of the Leo. We see the eagle that is transformed, no longer the scorpion, but the eagle representing the water element. And then we see the gentleman representing the mind element. You have an opportunity here, it looks like, to in some ways bring something around into making sense of it. And I want to offer this because Virgo rules, dutiful work, service to others. And I think that in some ways, if we're doing that service to others to our own detriment or to our own lack of priority, then it's going to be a problem. So here, let's look. Ray is an angel of meditation, communion with God and the angels. Isabella is saying, yes, the timing is right. Desiree is saying, no, the timing is not. And then Adriana. So we're going to have something. Let's look and see. Ray is being joined by the frog. Isabella is being joined by the queen. Desiree is being joined by the joy card. Adriana is being joined by the water fairy. Okay, God bless my Virgos, because you're mercurial and you do thoughts, you do process, your shadow side is perfectionism, a little bit critical of that which is not perfect. So Ray is all about connecting with spirit for your power. And the frog, I could say that it's, releasing of, jumping from one lily pad to another, releasing emotional baggage. It's also cleaning house. And it made me think that if there's anything that Virgo wants in the way of, the house of the mind, but it could also be something that you physically want. And now that you want something, an elevated experience, as Saturn opposes your first house, it is going to ask you, are you building sustainable relationship with yourself, or are you overly focused and in a critical way because you're not letting yourself thrive, blossom, be you, do you? Because here is the queen and Isabella saying, yes, the timing is right for this new venture of reception, of allowing yourself more of a fertile ground to move forward as the self. Because Desiree, the challenge is a joy. It's unfortunate, but the earth signs sometimes will say, I cannot because I have to ... And spirit is saying, if you pay attention to how much joy are you actually expressing in your version of what you want, because the universe wants to bring it to you, and you could be overly analyzing a situation and looking out into the physical world and how it'll play out, and you're cutting off your knees, because Adriana is leading you to the answers to your prayers, and this is through your emotional body. I got to tell you, when I moved into this place in Laguna Beach 20 years ago, I did not think I could afford it. I was really glad that I was working in a restaurant because I knew at least I'd have food. I didn't have a table to put the food on. I had a beach chair and an 8-inch black and white TV with an antenna, and literally got San Diego feed. The only thing on the feed for 2 years was Everybody Loves Raymond. But I knew I was supposed to be in that place, and I knew somehow that spirit would see me through the hard times. Virgo, your mind might be superseding your ability to create, because you're looking for logic somewhere and you're trying to process something, and spirit's saying, oh, no. And if you want to get that new house, I literally think this could be a house, because this is a house, cleaning house. It could be literal. But to get that new living space, you got to go here first and then follow your nose, your gut, the scary part of you that isn't sure, and then you'll frickin' win. So there you go. All right. On to our Libras, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. All righty. I want to say one thing about vision boards real quick, since Small mentioned she's going to make one. I one time had this lady here, and she wanted to manifest a relationship. And so, she asked about a vision board, and we talked about it. She came back a couple weeks later, and she brought me her vision board to see it. And it wasn't very big, but that didn't matter. But when I looked at it, all the couples that she had put on the board were looking away from each other or focused on something else. And it was I could see her belief system underneath that vision board, inadvertently. She wasn't picking couples holding hands, couples kissing, couples looking at each other. There was always something else. So when you're doing a vision board, really take a second look as to if the image makes you emote something that gets you excited, or if there's a wobble. Especially if you're a mercurial ruled person, you may just want to get it done and be like, well, this, and maybe looking just a little deeper into the emotional dynamic of what the picture emotes from you. That's all I'm saying. Libra, the 5 of Cups. This is an easy energy. It's an energy of sorrow. It's an energy of loss. It's an energy of not being able to see what is left after something falls over. Let's dig in a little deeper into this. Not an easy energy, the 5 of Cups. It's very focused on loss, focused on sorrow, focused on what is gone, not what is. Our first angel is Archangel Raphael, the angel of healing. The second is Akasha, the teacher. The third is Caressa. New happiness awaits at the end as we end one cycle, and Adriana is leading you to the answers to your prayers. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the Wealth card. Akasha is being joined by the Trust card. Caressa is being joined by the Hawk. And Adriana is being joined by the Swan. It seems counterintuitive to me to see that 5 of Cups when I look at the other spread. So let me offer this, because the 5 of Cups is also has the energy of the Death card. All right, Libra, I know that doesn't sound easy either. Doesn't sound easy either. But the Death card is a transformational card. And when you look at the Death card, you see that the king is dead, but the Pope or the religious figure is still there, looking at death and being potentially transformed. Because Archangel Raphael and the Wealth card are very counterintuitive to sorrow. So to me, this could potentially be where you're focused on something that you're afraid of that might happen, because nothing here indicates that something negative is happening. And that Wealth card is not just money, it's resources, it's feeling harmonious within my mind. We have Akasha, the teacher, and the Trust card. It's a 47. The 47 reduces down to an 11, and we see the 11 echoed here in the Hawk. We see Caressa saying you're at the end of a life cycle. I think that life cycle could potentially be the end of sorrow. It could actually be the end of looking at life through one lens and being able to see it through another. Because Adriana is leading you to the answers to your prayers, and there's the swan. And the swan is taking off and in flight. So I want to offer this because, when we see cards or planets that have, those keywords that feel so scary, we'll just say it. I think we're being tasked to look bigger at what is going on. Because when I look at this 5 of Cups, there are 2 cups that clearly have lost some liquid, the green and the red. But that 3rd cup that's spilled is not actually have any liquid in it. The river or whatever this black line is not, I don't believe it's from this cup. I believe it was already there. It doesn't have the same shape. So this is also requiring me to come to some sort of illumination. And sometimes we have an initial sorrow that becomes something that we rise up and out and over. All right, a little spooky, but let's move on to our Scorpios, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay, Scorpio, we have the moon card. This moon card is really kind of interesting because I can't help but focus on the two canines, right? We've got the wolf or the coyote, then we've got the dog. And they're both looking at this moon, but the moon also has like what feels like a sun. It almost feels like a new moon. And I still have never connected to the crustacean, to be honest with you. It's a lobster. I really need to do some research on lobster. But when I look at the waters, as the lobster's coming out of the water feels very tumultuous. And then there's these silos. And there's a part of me that when I look at this, it makes me feel that I'm aware of the duality of my emotions. And, sometimes I feel like the dog and sometimes I feel like, the coyote or the wolf. And that can be a prison of my own making. So as your ruling planet moves into a square to your rising sign, this is giving you an opportunity to really look at how you process things. I really think that Pluto's entry into Aquarius is calling forth a deep awareness of our co-creation and where we hold stories about ourselves that don't serve us, and we think they're serving us because they might pay the rent. Our first angel is Archangel Uriel, Scorpio. This is dealing with anger and frustration. The next is Isaiah, giving birth to new ideas and situations. Merlina is all about magic and balance. And then we have Ariel. It says new psychic and spiritual experiences are changing the way you view yourself and the world. Archangel Uriel is being joined by the trust card. Isaiah is being joined by the forgiveness card. Merlina is being joined by the hawk, and Ariel is being joined by the frog. This very much speaks to a transformation of your inner dialogue, your inner voice, what you've been telling yourself, the permissions you've been telling yourself to sit in balance for your own truth. And if you're not in balance for your own truth, Spirit's going to help you fix that. Because here's Archangel Uriel, and there's the trust card. And almost the trust card feels like that's the challenge. I'm frustrated because I don't trust. I'm frustrated because whatever I really want to feel powerful in or control over myself, to express my deeper, Scorpio is a powerful leadership sign, and it's a powerful sign that if you're clipping your truth and you're plugging into somebody else's story and building wealth or something for them, this frustration could become very apparent as we see Pluto rising up, wanting to be liberated. And so this trust card is not about trusting your anger. It's asking, do you trust or are you in anger? Because the forgiveness card and Isaiah is a new beginning and a protection, which means to me that something changes, that brings forth a new beginning that may not be something you wanted or something that you planned, but it's more authentic to your truth. Merlina is akin to Merlin in the other deck, alchemy, justice, and balance. And I see very much balance represented in her energy. And then there's the hawk, which is an 11. This is the signs and the omens about how am I thinking, where have I been focused on, because this is literally a cleaning of your emotional body through a psychic or spiritual experience of starting to be aware where an old imprint of feeling maybe fear or somebody else's dominance or power over you has somehow affected how you have maybe shaved off your wants and desires or your own, sense of what you want to create. And I think that frustration might come to, you might come into some sort of awareness of it. And at the same time, I think you might go back and forth about it, at least right now. All right, let's move on to our Sagittarius. It's rising moon, sun, and stelliums. The Tower. This is always an interesting energy. I believe this is very Uranian. We see the lightning bolt. We see the revolution, liberation. We see the people that have been sitting in the tower get thrown off. And there's this weird, when I see the coldness of where the tower sits, it really plays like sort of space agey to me, or in an environment that would be more Aquarian. Aquarius sort of feels like the land of misfit toys sometimes. And so when I look at that tower card, I always think it's an unexpected change that kind of blows the socks off of things. So let's look where we're going, Sagittarius. Welcome, Les. It's good to see you. Happy New Year. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Sagittarius, our first angel is Athena. The second is Grace and Antoinette. The third is Bethany. And the final is Teresa. Athena is being joined by the Burden card. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the Focus card. Bethany is being joined by the Wind Fairy. And Teresa is being joined by the Fire Fairy. This feels very much as if potentially Sagittarius could experience this week. I think that the conversation that the sun is having with Pluto as it enters Aquarius and has hovered over there over these few days could very well bring some conversations that have people not just worrying about, their own particular lives, but maybe even, in the media and things that we see on a world stage. This would indicate a feeling burdened in having to assert yourself. And this could be as a result of something unexpected that happens. And in the angel's advice, we have the Focus and the Grace and Antoinette, which represents compassion. Here we have Bethany and the Wind Fairy. And I feel as if this is compassion for yourself as you become aware of your focus. This Bethany and in the angel's advice and the Wind Fairy is a 29, which reduces down to an 11. And here is Grace and Antoinette and the Focus card at the teaching 33, master number of teacher. So here, Sagittarius, while you are usually somebody who's looked at as broad thoughts, broad things, there could potentially be something being teed up as your ruling planet is coming into conjunction over the next few months with this Uranian energy. And it's an opportunity to really, kind of not worry, but allow for sudden inspirations that might not be coming through right now. It could, humans are so pre-wired to move forward. And this feels almost as if something happens that creates a weird opening for you. I don't know. It feels almost like if I was just to throw it out there, I would feel like potentially if you work with a large company, there could be layoffs out of nowhere and you're worried for yourself. But at the end of the day, if indeed you did get laid off, then there's something better happening for you. Or if you don't get laid off, it may open a space for you to move forward or evolve somehow within your career life. Okay, let's go on to our final sign today, Capricorn, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Okay, the Queen of Swords. This is a card, the very Libran energy to me, very much fairness. We have what we see when we see the queens is emotion, nurturing, a softer touch. And yet here with this queen, it's the air element of intellect, of fairness. And so this queen is going to dispense her fairness gently here. She's going to try to make someone understand as potentially she grounds them for a week because they didn't do their homework. Something like that. Let's see, Capricorn, where we're going. Our first angel is Rosetta. The second is Yvonne. The third is Teresa. And the final is Shanti. Rosetta is being joined by the Stag. Yvonne is being joined by the Wealth card. Teresa is being joined by the Grail Knight. And Shanti is being joined by the Eagle. Okay. For my Capricorns, sometimes being, such a strong, ambitious leadership sign, wanting to take the reins and move the story forward physically is important to you. And here I feel very strongly that this is about harnessing your mind. This is about somehow re-looking at something, and is it fostering fairness, justice? Is it working for you as well as whatever's outside of you? The Stag is here, which represents leadership. It also represents stubborn pride. And then we have this Child card. And I wonder if in some respects, if the dutiful Capricorn energy and having this big, conjunction with Pluto, those late degree Capricorns could really be feeling so many things coming up from their childhood and how it formed them to how their children, it could even involve your own children, how they have transformed you in some way. And I feel like this queen is asking you to deliberate emotionally as well as intellectually, to remember to be vulnerable to our feelings, because that's where the wealth lies. The Grail Knight is Teresa makes me feel as this is a seeking the sacred energy. And when I'm too focused on how other people respond to what I'm doing, am I adjusting my actions to something that's not authentic to me? Because Shanti is offering peace through, in many ways, integrity, and the integrity to be fair, and fair in a way that adds the emotional body, this may be very much Capricorn fairness to yourself. It may be like, where, your inner child is screaming for time away, playtime, anything, frivolity. And, somewhere you could feel a sense of responsibility, but when you give in to what makes you feel rejuvenated, I think you're going to find more peace just in general moving throughout your everyday life. And I want to offer this too, because your ruling planet is moving through Pisces right now. And I believe that this is a call to, or an opportunity to really root in my spiritual connection, to, take the practices of my spiritual beliefs and to use them to foster peace and a sense of serenity for myself. So that's what I want to say for my Capricorns. We are at the beginning of our Aquarius season, and we will have a lot of things to talk about in the weeks to come. So be prepared. Hello, Nikki. Good to see you. Welcome. We're just wrapping up the show now. So thanks everybody for being here. Please please subscribe. Be sure to check out those February monthlies. They're packed full of yummy stuff. And I'll be back next Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time with more readings for you all. And I'll see you then. All right, everybody. Peace out.